Hello,
Okay.
everyone. I'm so excited to be celebrating with you today. So this whole week has a ton of events happening around the world. So be sure to check the schedule. I want to start off with a huge thank you to IPFS Force, first of all, for being just a phenomenal leader of the whole community. They've been phenomenal to work with for many years now, building and maintaining Venus, also for sharing their knowledge by reports and documentation, and for organizing this and many events throughout the years. So really, thank you so much, and everyone in the IPFS Works community. Web3 is the next generation of the internet. In a short time, computing has dramatically changed our species. Nowadays, our computing infrastructure powers trillions of devices interconnected with billions of humans. And everything we do day to day is mediated by some kinds of programs or software. The software infrastructure that we use must be resilient, secure, and verifiable. That's what Web3 is about, making the next generation of the web. As you know, Web3 is changing all kinds of things around the world. Many new kinds of platforms are emerging. What I'm here to talk to you about today is IPFS and Filecoin. IPFS is the data and content platform of Web3. It makes the web work peer-to-peer. And it's a widely used platform with hundreds of millions of browsers enabled around the world, with tons of developer tools and tons of applications. And of course, Filecoin, the storage network of Web3 built with IPFS. Filecoin is a decentralized storage network designed to store humanity's most important information. The network is built through a collection of storage providers that come together to build a resilient and powerful computing system. And Filecoin is part of the next wave of Web3. It is a proof of storage blockchain. It is by far the largest storage network of its kind. And it is now pushing at a scale that is competing with centralized cloud services. And it is the main storage network of all of Web3. So all kinds of bridges are being built from Filecoin to other blockchains and to other systems. Those systems are now starting to store their data on Filecoin. There's tons of activity and tons of growth. We're now pushing 12 exabytes of capacity, which is a truly phenomenal, massive amount of storage capacity. Congratulations to all of the storage providers for achieving this amazing goal. There are thousands of storage providers around the world and hundreds of organizations experimenting, building applications, and so on. There's tons of people around the world joining this movement to make the best storage network on the planet. Here's the capacity growing at a tremendous pace. The daily power addition, which is amazing. You can see how it doubled after the hyperdrive upgrade in the middle of the year. Now, the big thing that happened over this year is the emergence of lots of clients and starting to scale the usage of the Filecoin network. We started building tooling and all kinds of systems to be able to onboard large amounts of data. Really excited to show just how much usage has been growing across the network. And we have like this amazing growth rate. And it's also great to see the Filecoin Plus program also working really well. And it looks like it's growing exponentially. We'll see if that keeps up. That would be amazing. A lot of the usage of Filecoin has been helped by several developer on-ramps. So things like NFT storage and Estuary and so on. I want to give a special shout out to NFT.storage because it's like a very simple, easy to use system that has managed to get most of the NFTs in the world stored through NFT.storage. 6.5 million NFTs are stored by 6.5 thousand users. That's the bulk of all of the NFTs around the world. And this is growing at a pretty fast pace. So all of this storage for NFTs is free for users, provided by the Filecoin cryptoeconomics. And this is used by most of the NFT platforms around the world. There's also phenomenal developer platforms being built around Filecoin. Special shout out to Textile, Ceramic, Fission, and Fleek. There's of course a lot of other ones as well. So if you're building a new application and want to use Filecoin and want to use the powers of Web3, be sure to check these out. A great shout out to Estuary, which is a phenomenal application that came in to build a really needed piece of infrastructure to help manage the client to storage provider connections. So it's been amazing to see all of the improvements that Estuary has driven through the network and the growth rate that they've achieved. So huge congratulations. Also a great mention to ChainSafe Files, which now provide encrypted file storage. Store your files, back them up to Filecoin, and share them with your friends and with your coworkers and so on. And there's another great application, Space.storage, So both of these high quality user experiences and starting to feel just like a Web2 product, but now in Web3. I'd like to give a huge shout out to Huddle. It makes it really easy for people to get on a call and then record that call and store it to Filecoin. They're really helping a lot of people around the world learn, especially in this difficult time. Filecoin and LifePeer, two amazing networks that organize the work of a lot of service providers around the world, people to upload their videos and do transcoding, or even create video NFTs and mint them for the world. So small sampling of tons of applications and tools being built around the ecosystem. One really great thing that's been happening, cross-chain bridges. There's more than the one picture here. So it's been amazing to see smart contracts in other networks to call out to Filecoin directly. There's also been a phenomenal amount of progress in browsers, 250 million combined monthly active users in browsers that directly natively support IPFS. And that's a great entry point for all of these Web3 applications. So huge shout out to the Internet Archive and the Starling Project and many others that have been gathering these amazing data sets, bringing them into the network. One of the amazing things that's happened this year is the creation of a builder's funnel that helps developers learn, build, launch, and grow their applications. So developers can come to the Filecoin network, learn how to build applications in Web3, use one of the many hackathons running throughout the year to test it out, to learn about the systems, to try building something. And if their idea is promising and they want to pursue it, then there's lots of grants and accelerators lined up to help them turn their idea into a startup, feeding into ecosystem investors and other groups to help support them. You can think of this as like the startup reactor, helping lots of builders to start their businesses on Filecoin. Just been amazing to see this huge amount of hackathons around the world. Make sure to check them out and look ahead to the ones coming up in November and December. One of the huge achievements this year is that 4 accelerators will graduate 60 teams this year. That's 60 new startups built on Web3 with Filecoin. Here are some examples of the amazing kinds of businesses that are being built. Mona, a 3D metaverse museum that enables you to create rooms and mint them as NFTs. WeatherXM, which is a weather on demand network that enables providers to set up some weather infrastructure to measure the weather around them and provide that information to the network. And CID Gravity, a tool for pricing and client management for Filecoin storage providers. Valist is a system to securely distribute software, leveraging the power of IPFS and Filecoin to do hash linking across all kinds of software artifacts. Then Mintgate, to token gate high quality content through the use of NFTs. So you can start to monetize specific kinds of content. And of course, Huddle, using peer-to-peer to connect people in video and then be able to record and store to Filecoin. So this amazing builders funnel, leveraging developer resources, feeding into hackathons, then into grants and accelerators, and from there to an investor network, is paving the way for lots of startups and lots of new businesses around the Filecoin network. So if you're excited about building something, if you want to try things out in Web3, just join a hackathon, try it out and connect with the accelerators. Great, so you want to get involved in the network. So how do you do that? First and foremost, I would encourage you to become a client. Try storing your data on Filecoin if you're not doing it already. So maybe start with storing your personal files, try out chain state files or space out storage. Or if you're a developer, try out one of the many developer on-ramps, the one that suits your use case best. If you're storing NFTs, definitely try NFT storage. If you're storing a lot of files in a Web3 style application, try Web3.storage. If you are building a whole web application and want a very simple experience, you should try out Fleek. If you're doing more interesting things with web apps where you need to model the data structures and build kind of distributed databases and so on, definitely encourage you to check out Textile, Ceramic, and Fission, 3 amazing developer platforms that are emerging to help you do all of that. And if you're storing large amounts of data where you need a framework for data integrity, I encourage you to check out Starling, which you may also want to become a storage provider. There's a lot of guides around on the internet that you can check out. And especially recommend watching the videos. There's many videos from many storage providers sharing their knowledge, talking about their setups. You could also go and build a new project, app, or startup, leveraging the builder funnel that we've created. Watch some of the amazing content that's been gathered over time in the Filecoin YouTube channel and in other video channels. And if you're doing something cool with Filecoin, I encourage you to record a video and upload it and share it with the community. I also encourage you to join Filecoin chat. You can join the community through Slack. There are, of course, many other chat platforms around with different Filecoin groups, so recommend checking those out. You can also get involved by participating in the Filecoin Improvement Proposal Forum. You can propose improvements to the protocol or discuss potential improvements. Get involved. Filecoin is your network. Everybody wants to hear your voice. You could also become a core developer. Join one of the teams that's building one of the key implementations and help build Filecoin. You can learn about the many teams through the Filecoin Core Devs call. And of course, over time, we'll have more and more ways of gathering feedback from the community. There's already a tool called Filepoll that's been used a few times. I look forward to seeing many more of these kinds of tools to make decisions about how the project should work. And of course, you can host and attend events. You can gather a community. You can help share knowledge. You can help train people. You can help people get started with Filecoin and start to use it to store their data. And you can, of course, participate in one of the many hackathons. I encourage you to host a hackathon. That's one of the best ways to contribute to the network. And one of the best ways that you can get involved in the Filecoin project is by joining one of the many teams in the network. There are hundreds of companies in the network working on many different parts of the project. And if you would like to participate, you can go and apply to work in one of them and get involved. All right, so I wanted to touch a little bit on what's next for Filecoin. One of the big things that's become very evident this year is scaling, the need for scaling and sharding. So Web3 in general really created a new kind of architecture that prioritized security over scalability. And over time, different networks are starting to push towards scalability. But we're still really far away from the target to be able to beat the Web2 platforms. And in order to do that, we believe that we need to break through the consensus bottleneck. So consensus right now in blockchains ends up creating a really strong bottleneck that we need to be able to break through. And we propose to do it by going towards a sharded network that can use hierarchical consensus, a construction that we think will work really well. So you can think of kind of the layer 2 of things like Polygon and others that are helping scale Ethereum. We're building similar kinds of structures in Filecoin, and you'll see being discussed this year. So I think we should push for really strong targets. We really want to get to internet scale workloads. We want to get to trillions of transactions per second, and we want to get to fast local finality. So this is a really ambitious target, but I think the Filecoin project can definitely hit it. And so I look forward to working with all of you to make it a reality. This is a view into some of the work that Consensus Lab is doing, which is a group that is looking specifically at the consensus part of blockchains, that is doing the research around consensus hierarchies and thinking about how to scale those and how to squeeze out much more performance out of every shard. And of course, one of the critical things here is how you do cross-shard execution. This is where the entire blockchain space is right now figuring this out. I anticipate that within a few years, this is no longer going to be an issue in the Web3 space. But right now, it'll be really great innovations that will arrive that will help us break through this bottleneck. The next thing that I want to call out is being able to do computation over Filecoin data. This is basically one of the really critical components out of any storage network in computing, which is to be able to store a lot of data and then be able to run some function over that data, to be able to do some computation and some useful work on top of the data that you're storing. So this is more than smart contracts. This is being able to issue arbitrary jobs to be able to run on top of the data. And there are many different potential architectures for achieving this. A lot of us in the community think that we should be pushing towards structures that are as scalable as the Web2 clouds, but of course verifiable. So we take inspiration from both blockchains and from systems that have scaled greatly in Web2 and cloud, and try and marry the approaches to get a best of both world system. There's also some extremely interesting systems that are emerging with verifiable computation, so provable systems, and of course homomorphic encryption, where you can get actually do computations that are entirely private on public clouds. So all of these are elements that our community is playing with, that we're thinking through, and that over time will help us achieve computation over data. Now, of course, in order to do this, we need some hooks in the chain. We need to be able to do some smart contract programming. So that's also going to be a really critical component. We also think there's going to be a lot of innovations needed in just improving proofs. So this is both making new kinds of pour-ups and posts and making them faster and more efficient. And of course, then being able to do the broader arbitrary computation through verifiable computing. So being able to kind of write proofs against any program and then kind of being able to run that over data on Filecoin. And there's also an amazing set of developments that have been happening in the last couple of months. The community has been gathering around the ideas of user programmable smart contracts. The current plan and trajectory that the community is discussing is to add a component that we're calling the FVM, and then to also have a layer of compatibility with the EVM. Now, one of the really key things here is that we want to be able to do and model cross-chain computation, of course, and be able to do it across shards in Filecoin as that emerges. All of this is going to be a super interesting and exciting area of work. So if you're interested in this kind of work, definitely check out the repositories and so on. And there's going to be a talk about FVM given later in the week by Raul. So I recommend you check that one out. There's a lot of utility out of getting smart contracts on Filecoin. Of course, things like all of the power and programmability that we've seen in Ethereum and in other networks. It'll also enable much easier bridges across blockchains and so on. And in the long run, we want to kind of build out this larger scale data science platform. There's already a lot of groups pushing in this direction. A special shout out to NBFS and the Nebula team who built a notebook system connected to Filecoin. And last, I want to leave you with some thoughts on the metaverse on Filecoin. So as you know, we've been building the metaverse for many decades, building little bits and pieces at a time through many different kinds of games and online experiences. And nowadays it's getting a lot more sophisticated with 3D environments and games and open worlds and so on. And we're starting to blend blockchains and the Web3 primitives into these systems. This is a really exciting time. The whole world is looking ahead to the emergence of the metaverse. There's many large-scale companies starting to look to invest extremely heavily and deeply into it. Many large companies want to completely own a very closed version of the metaverse, and that would be a really bad outcome. So it's super critical that today we build an open Web3 enabled metaverse. So I really encourage all of you to get involved and help build out all of the layers that need to be built to make this a reality. And I'm super proud to say that I think the Filecoin community is helping spearhead the development. I think that the metaverse is going to be built and locked open through the use of NFTs. So I think that NFTs, by creating a notion of property on the blockchain, help give people some association with artifacts and spaces that they then want to interconnect and use in an open way. You want all of those pieces to be able to interact with each other, and you want to be able to use them wherever you want, not just in some walled garden structures. So we're also starting to see a lot of really interesting open virtual worlds being generated. So special shout out to CryptoVoxels and Decentraland, but there's a lot of others. A lot of amazing creativity has been poured into these environments, creating some really cool spaces. A different approach, which I think is also going to be super interesting, where different rooms are being built in a composable way, where you can sort of create a room in isolation, and then mint the room itself as an NFT, and then be able to connect those rooms to other rooms and larger spaces over time. A huge shout out to many groups that are doing this, where all these NFTs are stored directly on Filecoin, and one of them is the Mona team that I mentioned earlier. So over time, I think these rooms and objects and artifacts and spaces are all going to be connected through Web3, and that composability is going to help us create a very open metaverse. I don't know if there's going to be a huge explosion in terms of usage yet this year, but I think a ton of the primitives are going to be built out now. A lot of the components are going to be experimented with. A lot of people will start making the first few games and environments probably within 2 or 3 years. This is going to explode in a huge way. So I think right now, the people building these layers are deciding what the future will look like. And it's really exciting and really cool that a lot of those developers and groups are choosing to build with Filecoin. So this is an open invitation to all of you to come build the metaverse with us. Come join us in the Filecoin network and build some really exciting things. And if you're a builder, an artist, an architect, or a gamer, there's this really cool 3D build bounty hosted by Mona, where you get to build, the Filecoin forum. You can submit a room and you can mint a room and collect a bounty for doing so. Come check it out, and maybe someday potentially going to go and hang out in a space like this. I think this is one of the super amazing rooms that one of the amazing artists is building for the forum. All right, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. A huge thank you to all of you for participating in the Filecoin network. A huge thank you to IPFS Force for organizing this event and having me, and look forward to seeing you in one of the many other events this week. Stay tuned. It's a super exciting and packed week. Look forward to working with you for many years to come.